Hey, and welcome to another Tech Tuesday. This is Chad from Ascension Worship. We are getting ready to go to the Experience Conference this week in Orlando, Florida. So this week, instead of doing a tech tip, I want to do kind of a little message for you guys, and it's called Walking with Purpose. So one of the things, a little bit about me, one of the things that bothers me the most in the world is when I'm in a parking lot and I'm trying to drive to get out or whatever, and someone starts to walk across, and I stop to let them through, but they don't even acknowledge me. They walk as slow as they were before, and I find that really bothersome because if the roles were reversed and someone stopped for me to walk across to a store or whatever, even if it was at a crosswalk and it was my right, I would at least kind of pick my knees up a little bit and kind of do that little thing that we do where it's like, oh, I'm aware that you're there and I'm doing what I can to get across so that we can both go home and do what we need to do. And you're not reliant on me walking so slow right now. So how does that relate to us in the production world? Well, it's pretty simple. When your team needs something and you're maybe in the back at your board or whatever it is that you're doing, get up, pick your knees up, and walk with purpose. If you need to, run to get that thing done, because you never know who is watching, and it really makes a really serious impact on your team when they see that you care enough about them to get moving a little bit. So a little story, a few years back, I was on a missions trip in Papua New Guinea with a crew from Hillsong College, and the production team was myself and my buddy Luke Migas. Luke, if you're out there, miss you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. And one thing that I didn't know until kind of after the event was done, the guy putting on the event told me that he had heard from some of the guys at the church that they noticed that whenever we had an issue, because we were dealing with not great equipment sometimes, Luke and I would run back and forth to get things done. So that not only had an impact on our teams, but also an impact on the people of that church. So I thought it was pretty cool. So we were walking with purpose. People saw it. Now, on the other side of that, another not so good story. We were at a church a few years back, and we were helping with a bunch of changes. So one, we're helping them to get off of being reliant on music stands, because let's be honest, music stands are mostly unnecessary in the style of worship that this church was doing, and they're just really ugly. So this is one of the first rehearsals with no music stands. We were also working on their lighting, so we had a guy who from time to time would do blackouts because he was clearing things. It is a lighting thing, but this bass player was there this night, and it's the first time he'd been there since this has all been taking place. And he hadn't memorized his music, and he was getting really frustrated because every time the lighting guy would do his job and black out the lighting, the bass player couldn't read his music. So I was walking with purpose, but I didn't make it obvious, and that was my mistake, because I ran in the back and I spent probably 5 or 10 minutes trying to find him. This is a big room, so I had to run around a lot to do this. So I tried to find him a new music stand with a light on it. Found one, the last one, but it was broken. So then I had to go and find an LED. And I set up this whole contraption for him to be able to see his music while the lighting guy was also doing his job. My problem was I didn't tell him early on, hey, I've got your back. I'm working on this. And it took me long enough that he thought that we'd forgotten about him, got really mad, took his bass off, and just left the stage. Now, I eventually got a hold of him. We squared it away. But if I just told him early on, made it obvious to him that I was working on it, we wouldn't have had that problem, at least not the way that we did. So my whole point of that is you just have to make it obvious without bringing focus on yourself. Just make sure your team knows that you are there for them. And the easiest way to do that is when you get walking, lift up your knees, walk with purpose, make sure that it is obvious that you've got their backs and they can rely on you when something goes wrong. And that really helps your team to come together. It's a very important thing. You don't know who's watching. It's not just your team. It's not just your pastor. There are other people who see that, and it's important. So I understand that as a sound team or lighting team or whatever, we tend to be a bit introverted, so you might have to work to do this, but make sure you build that connection with your team. That's the easiest way to do it, is to walk with purpose. So this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in our YouTube comment section below, or you can email me directly at TechTuesday@ascensionworship.com. We are also taking suggestions for future videos, so again, in the comment section or at TechTuesday@ascensionworship.com. Until next time, have a great week. Again, this is Chad from Ascension Worship. I hope this has been helpful for you and your team. Come back here every Tuesday for new information.